What's up, everybody? Today is Tuesday, July 28th. Thanks for joining me. So yesterday, the Senate Republicans introduced their version of the next stimulus package. There's a lot to go over, so that's what I'm going to do in this video. And so please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything that I talk about and what you think about all this, all right? Now, keep in mind, this is the Senate Republicans version, and it's still subject to a lot of negotiations from the Democrats. So any of these things could change before the bill is finalized. All right, some of the main points that I want to talk about here in this bill, it's called the HEALS Act, which stands for Health, Economic Assistance, Liability Protection, and Schools Act. So in this act, they cover unemployment insurance, stimulus payments, liability protection, state assistance, school funding, 100% meals deduction, and also second round of PPP funding, which is actually a little bit of a separate act, but I'll talk a little bit about that in this video. And I'll make another video that's coming out later today that goes into more depth on the other bill that was proposed by Senator Marco Rubio, which has more details on the second wave of PPP loans. All right, to get started, let's talk about unemployment funding first. So the Republicans have proposed an additional $200 per week unemployment aid on top of states. And as you know, because $600 per week additional funding expired as of this past weekend. So the Republicans are proposing $200 per week until October. And then once October hits, then that amount will change to 70% of your previous wage with a cap of $500 per week. Okay, so from whenever the bill passes to October, it's gonna be $200 a week extra. And then starting October, the states are supposed to adapt their system to change this 70% rule that is capped at $500 per week. Now, I believe the Democrats will be challenging this because they will be pushing for the full $600 per week, as they think that's much needed. So we'll see what happens there. The next big, long-awaited thing is the stimulus payments. So the stimulus payments in this bill would mirror the ones in the CARES Act, in that it's going to be $1,200 per individual, $500 per qualifying dependent, and the individual amounts will be phased out starting at $75,000 AGI for each individual. Okay, so if you make more than $75,000 but less than $99,000, then you're still going to get some stimulus payment, just not the full thing. Okay, but if you make over $99,000 per individual, then you don't get any stimulus payment. Okay, so it's the same as the CARES Act, and I don't think there's going to be any opposition from the Democrats on this one, as this one seems pretty bipartisan and both sides pretty much agree on the amounts here. One thing that's different is that the qualifying dependents in the CARES Act would have to be people or children under 17 years of age. In this bill, they took away that 17-year-old age limit. All right, so that could be a good thing for people. The next thing they cover is liability shield. The Republicans want businesses, schools, universities, and hospitals to be protected from lawsuits regarding COVID-related cases. And this is really important to the Republicans. In fact, it's so important to Mitch McConnell that he says he's not going to sign any bill without this liability protection clause. He just doesn't want to see a mass influx of lawsuits regarding COVID. So that's why they included this clause in this package. Now, this does not include gross negligence, and so it's really up to the person filing lawsuit to prove gross negligence in order to be successful here. Next is state aid. So this bill doesn't include any more funding for the states, but it does allow states to be more flexible with the previous funding that they received in the CARES Act. So this will allow states to balance their deficits a little bit better and hopefully just put them in a better position overall. I know the Democrats do want more funding for the states, so we'll see how that's going to play out once negotiations start. School funding. This bill will propose $105 billion for school funding, and it will be tied to minimum opening requirements for schools. Okay, so schools really have to meet these minimum requirements to be able to even receive this aid, because this funding is meant to help support schools, give them the things that they need to reopen safely. I know there's some specifics about how much goes to like K to 12. I believe $70 billion of it goes to K to 12 schools, and a certain amount goes to universities. And so, the details are there, but just know that there will be school funding, and Democrats will likely support this as well. Next small thing on this bill I thought was interesting was 100% meal deduction. As you know, as a business owner, if you have meals with your colleagues or your clients, then those meals are deductible by 50%. So the Senate Republicans here are thinking they should make it 100% deductible to help people support restaurants and struggling restaurants and all that. So they've included that in this bill. Okay, I thought that was interesting. This is a big bill. Its estimated cost is $1 trillion, you know, compared to the Democrats' $3 trillion bill introduced in May. Okay, so a much smaller bill. So I'm guessing there's gonna be a lot of negotiations here. The bill might get a little more expensive once the Democrats get their hands on it. But I'm sure a lot of these things that the Republicans introduce, the Democrats all agree on. It just might be the amount of money that's gonna be debated. Okay? The last thing I'm going to touch on is a second wave of PPP, which actually appears to be on another bill. Like I said, I'll make another video for that, and that's going to come out later today. But I'll go over some of the quick highlights here. The new wave of PPP funding will have $190 billion of funds allocated to it, and that includes the current money that's still left over in the current PPP. If you receive the PPP the first time, you will be able to get the second wave of PPP funding if you need it. It's gonna be more targeted, okay? So it's gonna be for businesses with 300 or less employees, and the businesses have to show a reduction of revenue of 50% or more year over year. And there will also be money set aside for really small businesses, less than 10 employees, so to make sure like really small businesses don't get left out of the loop, all right? And then the last thing here is that maximum PPP loan will be $2 million instead of $10 million in the original first wave of PPPs. So that's all I got for today. Thanks so much for joining me. Again, let me know in the comments below what you think. I'd love to hear from you. And also, please smash that like button. I really appreciate it. And also, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on everything SBA, EIDL, PPP, stimulus package related. Love to have you on board. Take care for now and stay safe.